Get pucked.
Welcome everybody to Get Pucked. This is episode 21. Dave is finally back. Also
He
here with
returns.
Matt and myself, Vito. I'm here. Guys, we want to jump right into this one. It's going to be slightly different than what we normally do. I'm going to start off by just quickly asking a question right now, right off the bat, and then we're going to do something different. So, Dave and Matt, Montreal's been on a tear. They've won 5 games in a row. And they are now battling basically for the bottom position with about 4 other teams. Are you concerned at all for Montreal's position in the upcoming draft? Matt.
No. I mean, no. But there's a bit more to it than that, right? Yeah, like prior to Martin St. Louis showing up, prior to going on the 5-game win streak, it was like foregone conclusion. They were going to be dead last, get the best odds, but that doesn't necessarily guarantee you the first overall pick. Gives you the best odds, sure. And I think, like we mentioned last time we spoke, Vito, it's like it seems like in the past several years it's a 50-50 chance, right? If you're the worst team, you either get it or you don't. So those are good odds, the best odds that you can possibly get. I think ultimately they're not going to climb out of this. It's not going to be like that run that the Hamburglar had with Ottawa those years ago, and they, all of a sudden go. I don't see that happening. I see trades coming. I see the team getting chipped away. Big pieces are going to move out. I see the losses eventually coming, but they're going to be far more competitive. And I think in the long run, your core is going to be here, and it's a much better place to be when you win, let's say 50% of the time. Versus what they were doing before, which is losing every single game. But you see the improvement. You see how the players are responding. You see just the better product on the ice. You see them coming with the Jeff Petry comments. It's fun to come to the rink again. So I think ultimately the winning is good for them in the long run. It's good for the team in the long run. There's a part of me that was hopeful that like just write the season off. I was prepared, like close my eyes, hold my breath, and just end the season and let it be their dead last and get the best odds. But no, I'm not concerned. I think there's a lot of great picks in the top 5 to 10. I'm not concerned.
Big Daddy Dave.
I agree. I'm not concerned either. I mean, ultimately, it's a toss-up, right? Whether you're going to win the draft lottery anyways if you finish last place or not. They strung along 5 wins in a row. At one point, they had won 4 in a row, and we're still in last place. So I think that they've created enough of a gap. They're going to get a top 5 pick guaranteed almost at this point. So it doesn't really matter. There's enough talent. If we you guys had an episode with Marco D'Amico, and he's been touting all along about how good that top 5 is in the draft. So I'm not too concerned. And if for me, it's if getting a pick a little bit further down, maybe a 3rd or 4th even overall pick, means that Cole Caulfield regains his first round form, then that's fine with me. Because I think it was clear that the coaching was the problem. I think we discussed at length. Is he an NHLer? Is he a first round pick? Is he a phenom? And was the coaching the problem? Well, I think it proves the point. I mean, he does have the potential, and it's the potential is there, and he basically just needed a new coach and a new mentality. And if we regain that first round form for Cole Caulfield, I think that's worth dropping 2-3 picks in the draft. I think that's fine. So I'm not too concerned. I think that it's going to be fun. It adds a little bit of a layer of fun to the season, and it is what it is, and what it will be, it will be. So I'm fine with it.
I'm not concerned that they're going to get a top 5 pick. And if it was like some of the other drafts we've seen over the years, I would have been a little more concerned. I know that Mark has mentioned it, other analysts have said it, that the talent pool in the top that are going to be in the top 10 are pretty good, in the top 5 even more so. I would really like that the Montreal Canadiens landed Shane Wright. But if that's not the case and they end up landing any of the other prospects that have been mentioned in the past, then so be it. But again, it all comes down to the way they're playing, the way the new administration, the way what they want to do to the team, what Marty St. Louis brought so far, and what looks like he's going to probably be the head coach too next year, is just something to look forward to, rather than thinking or feeling the way that we felt while Ducharme was there, while Question marks were there. What was happening with Bergevin at the time, and trying to figure out like, is this going to be what we're going to see next season too? So
No, it's a totally different thing. I mean, but quickly, like the last little thing I want to say about it is because I know it's a hot button topic, right? A lot of people, you go on the social medias, you talk to a lot of fans. They're actively fans out there. They're like, they're ruining the tank. They're ruining our chances. What you gotta understand is this is the main, like the core pieces of the team are going to be here. It's not like everybody's being wiped off the board and it's a complete clean slate. This team is our team. You know what I mean? And you're going to have some guys go and you're going to have some guys come in. And yes, it'd be nice to have a top pick, number one prospect out of a draft. And 9 out of 10 times they hit. But you got to remember, it's still a prospect. This person you're getting has never played an NHL game. So it's much better that your actual team of NHL players start to gel. And like Dave mentioned, Caulfield regain his confidence, Suzuki playing the best version of himself. Like these guys, your actual team playing better and refining their game is probably more beneficial in the long run, rebuild or not, than nailing that first overall pick.
So, I don't know if you guys heard today, Jeff Petry spoke, and what he said was basically that Martin St. Louis has brought life back into the room and things are fun again, and that he would love to be coached by him for many years.
Did you say the last part?
Yeah.
I didn't see that. Yeah.
I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said that. And so now, with all the rumors that have come out that Jeff Petry was on the trade block, he's going to move. Kent Hughes even coming out saying that, hey, Jeff Petry himself, we'll trade him if the right deal comes along, but we're not in a rush to trade him because, he's under contract and at the end of the day, he's a Montreal Canadian and so on.
Yeah.
Do you think, based on what Jeff Petry said today, and with the way things are going, and with how hard it is to find right-handed defensemen like him in the NHL to begin with, and we don't have anybody in the pipeline, does that change the plans a little bit?
I don't think so. I mean, if anything, I think I don't know. If I'm management, I soured a little bit on Jeff Petry during this whole thing. The whole, making it seem he was playing terribly. Obviously there was a little family situation there. We get it. I understand it. And then you're going to start throwing your old coach under the bus. And I mean, like, look, it's been weeks, man. Like, enough with these comments. I find it's a little bit too much with Jeff Petry, where he's kind of like, oh, look at me now. I'm a new player. It wasn't me. It was my bad. It was all Dom Duchamp. It's like, get over it a little bit. You're a professional. You're a pro. I get you dip. Your play can dip, and your abilities could dip a little bit if you're playing under a bad system or poor system, but to drop off the map like he did and then to just blatantly point it off, I think I would, if I was a general manager, I would sour on him and I would try to move him. I think you could get a good asset. And I think that, obviously you don't trade him unless you get what you're looking for. And maybe now you could let his trade value rise a little bit between now and the deadline. But if it was up to me, I don't want a guy like that on my team.
So I'm going to pause right there, Dave. So we're going to do something new this time. Wait, Matt, you're going to be able to contribute. We're going to do something new. And what I want to do is I've compiled a bunch of tweets. Some of them are tweets from people like NHL Watcher that are basically tweeting out what Darren Dreger said or Elliot Friedman and so on. And they're basically players that are rumored to go to other teams. So I will pull up the tweet for people who are going to watch this after, but I'm also going to read it out loud for the listeners. And I want you guys to tell me what you think. And the first one I'm going to use is going to be about Jeff Petry. All right? You guys ready? Yeah. Matt, you could contribute first since I cut you off.
Oh, thank you. Cut me off. I didn't even get to talk, but okay, go. Good.
Sure. All right. So NHL Watcher had tweeted this. It's about Friedman. So Friedman writes in his 32 thoughts that he can see the Flyers in on Jeff Petry.
Sure.
Matt, what do you think?
I say sure that I can see them in on him. I can see just as easily, if not maybe more so, Dallas being in on him. And to kind of echo Dave's thoughts about it, you asked, does it change the sort of plan of moving him out? I also don't believe it changes it. If anything, it makes it easier to do. because he's playing better. So you'll have more teams like all of a sudden Philadelphia is now in the mix, right? They weren't being talked about a couple weeks ago as mainly only Dallas as a potential suitor. I think the family, we'll say issue for lack of a better word, is going to be there for a while. I know his wife is either pregnant or just given birth, one of the two. I can't quite remember, but something about like they're both American. I think they want to be back in the States. And to facilitate that, as long as his play keeps improving, you have the chance of moving him in season to a team that's looking to make a playoff push. If that's not the case, then yes, you hold him and you don't trade him until you get what you're looking for. And it's nice to hear his comments about him being happy coming back to the rink, so that if he does stay, he's gonna put forth the best effort he can, and it seems like he's finding his form. So yeah, I mean, I don't think the plan has changed at all in that regard.
I just think you have to trade him. I mean, look, yeah, he has a big contract for the next 3 years. He's 34 years old. His play dropped like incredibly, and it's not just a coincidence. It's not just because he's sad that his wife's out of town, and it's sad that and the system. I don't believe that, man. I don't.
You're ruthless, Dave. You're ruthless.
I think he used that as a crutch, man, and I understand.
Maybe.
I understand, your work being affected by your home circumstances, but you're a professional athlete and you're a professional.
Yeah.
And that
yeah, but I mean, at the same time, Dave, they are humans. And if he's got newborns and kids, I mean, if you were separated, both of you guys, if you were separated from your kids for a long span of time and with all these restrictions and COVID that we had in Quebec before that.
100%. And that's why your performance can suffer a little bit here or there. He dropped off the map, man. You think it's a coincidence?
Yeah.
I don't think it's a coincidence. And last year, I don't know, man, like his playoff run, I don't know. I'm not sold on Jeff Petry going forward. And I think that his contract will not haunt them because whatever, it's 6.5 for 3 years. It's not the end of the world. But at the end of the day, I think that you would have to move him just for many reasons.
Okay. So we know the team that was mentioned in this tweet was the Flyers.
Very rad.
I'm not gonna ask. Well, Marco D'Amico has been ranting on that one.
I know.
So I'm not gonna ask you guys what would you want as pieces going forward, because I'm assuming you don't have the Flyers roster or their prospect pool or even their picks in front of you guys right now.
No, but the name that you keep hearing is Morgan Frost. I don't know. Everybody's talking to get Morgan Frost and get a roster player back.
So,
I'm like,
so this is what I'm going to ask you guys both. Would you prefer a combination of because they're going to have to throw in a contract player there, and one player that's been rumored that they want to try to trade is Travis Konechny. Okay, I'm not saying. Would you prefer a Konechny and maybe a late pick for someone like Jeff Petry, or something more along the lines of a Nick Suzuki-esque type of package, where they get a first, they get a prospect that can be at the Suzuki level, and an NHL roster player for Jeff Petry? And Dave,
well, obviously you'd prefer that, but I mean that's not what they're gonna get.
Well, it's because Konechny is a good player too. That's why
but obviously
but,
you go for the prospect route. And the pick. It's just, again, I don't know why Philly would do it. It puzzles me sometimes, and I know that there's probably truth to it, right? Like Frank Saravalli wouldn't have said that for no reason, and neither would have Elliot Friedman, and neither would Marco wouldn't say it if there's no credence to it, I guess. But I don't understand.
Where did they want Ristolainen out? And they don't want to be weak on the right side, and they have Ryan Ellis, who's been hurt and seems like a significant injury.
I understand them needing a defenseman, and I just don't understand Jeff Petry being the answer to that. And then not only Jeff Petry, but then paying a high cost of a first-round pick, this and that. And like, it's not as if the Flyers are world beaters. And it's gonna be a late, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't get it. I don't see it.
I see Dallas as a much better fit, because I think all signs are pointing to, I mean, the fact that it's out there, Klingberg literally made it known he wants out. It looks like he's going to get moved before the trade deadline. And Dallas was surging and really going for the playoffs this year. So Petry is like a perfect fit right back in there, especially if he's finding his form. I definitely see that more as a proper landing spot for Jeff Petry.
All right, so let's move on to another tweet. Okay.
Yeah.
Vito, are you wearing a turtleneck, or is that a hoodie? I can't tell.
No, it's a hoodie. It's a hoodie.
It's a hoodie. Okay.
It's the first ever hoodie turtleneck. That's what it is.
So this is not about a Montreal Canadien. It is about Claude Giroux.
Flyers again. All right.
Yeah, Adrian Dater came out with a tweet saying I'm told that Claude Giroux has made it known to Flyers GM Chuck Fletcher that Colorado is where he wants to go. If somehow that doesn't work out, Minnesota or St. Louis would be acceptable alternatives. Guys, Claude Giroux is a few games away from basically hitting 1,000 games with the Philadelphia Flyers. Can you guys actually see Claude Giroux moving to Colorado?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So you guys, well, no, not even. But think of the roster Colorado has. Taking like, where would you even slot him? When you have McKinnon, you've got Jost, you've got Kadri there.
Very different question. You ask, can I see him on another team? I believe I can see. Wait, if I woke up tomorrow and you told me all of a sudden a trade was made and Claude Giroux is playing for really any of the other teams, I mean, barring a couple of the bottom feeders, because that would make no sense, I'd be like, yeah, okay, I see it. He's late in his career. He wants to go for a cup. I don't think he has one.
No, he doesn't have one.
Right?
He's played with the Philadelphia Flyers his whole career. They
yeah,
haven't
but
won a cup.
they went to the Stanley Cup once in his time there, I think, or close even.
No,
either way,
They got to the cup against Chicago and they lost to
Chicago. Yeah,
okay.
Chicago
So he's been to the dance, but he didn't stay to the end. So you want to see him. I mean, at least I'd imagine he would want to have one more shot. And it looks like Philly is not going there anytime soon. So yeah, I can totally see it. Where does he slot in on these teams? What kind of finagling and magic needs to occur to get him to go to Colorado, for example? Yeah, that I can see it being far more difficult. St. Louis, maybe a little bit of an easier fit. Maybe Minnesota, I don't quite understand that, but whatever.
Well, Minnesota doesn't really have the best of centers either, right?
But like it's just, I don't know. To me, I find that's a weird place to say out of all the teams you want to go to, Colorado, St. Louis, Minnesota. But okay.
Go ahead, Dave.
Claude Giroux would slot in on Colorado. Fine, he can take that third center role. Who is it? It's New Hook now, or you can move them out, or you can move him to the wing. He plays the wing as well. You could put him somewhere. You can find room for.
If they were to trade for Claude Giroux, if they were to trade for Claude Giroux, does that make them basically, in your mind, the team to win the Stanley Cup? I mean, obviously anything could happen in the playoffs, but does it make them that team?
They're definitely a favorite. I mean, look, they're first place. Aren't they first place in the NHL right now? I mean, they've been killing it.
It's been back and forth between them and Florida, basically.
So I mean, they're obviously a favorite. They have a crazy roster, and Claude Giroux, does it put him over the top? I don't know. Does it really address a need for them? That's my. Whenever I see a trade like that, it's kind of like, are you just adding to your pool of players who could play, on the power play or here or there? Or does it address a major need going into the playoffs? And I don't know if Claude Giroux addresses a major need for
if I'm Colorado and I'm looking at their roster, I would think that I would want to bring in another goalie instead of relying on who they have right now, and I'd want to bring in a defenseman that could be a stay-at-home defenseman and not just be Cale Makar going up there skating like the wind and nobody playing back. Like I find they need a couple of defensemen.
Okay, then you Ben Scheroth. We get it, Vito. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Speaking of Ben Scheroth, I wasn't even going to bring him up away.
Bring it.
But here's another tweet. Ben Scheroth.
Who's got something for Ben Scheroth here?
Drager
says. I love that you said I wasn't going to bring him up, but you have a tweet ready.
No, I was going to bring him up now. Is what I said. I was going to wait.
All right.
Drager says the St. Louis Blues are heavily interested in Ben Scheroth. Beyond that, I look at Florida. I look at the Bruins.
Who's who right now?
I look
Florida,
at the Leafs, and I look at the New York Rangers.
Oh my God!
Montreal's going to get a good amount in return for Ben Scheroth. As I said, a first-round draft pick and maybe a prospect as well. To follow that tweet up, Incarcerated Bob, if you know that Twitter account, he's been right a few times. Says Habs are receiving plenty of interest in Ben Scheroth. Names pretty much the same teams: Blues, Hurricanes, Rangers, and Panthers. Seem most serious as of now. Can confirm one of these teams made an offer before his injury. Also watch for the Kings if they stay in the race. Chris Johnston on TSN also states that Ben Scheroth just happens to be the player that the Leafs have at least made some calls on to Montreal. Guys, what do you think of Ben Scheroth going to basically the entire NHL? And with the way he's been playing, it seems like that injury was like nothing because he's been playing pretty well lately.
Yeah.
Do you still feel Ben Scheroth moves for at least the first pick, or they're going to trade Ben Scheroth for a prospect that could play in the NHL now, or is knocking on the door to play in the NHL, especially considering that they already got an additional first-round pick in the Tyler Toffoli trade? And I want Dave to answer. Matt, you're going to wait. You're going to wait. You've been talking, son. You wait.
All right. I mean, Ben Scheroth is a guy who, I think he's going to get the value of a first-round pick, whether that's a first-round pick or a draft pick that was a first-round pick or whatnot. I think that's what he's going to go for. It depends on the team that's trading him, right? I don't think the Leafs will trade a first. It depends. If he goes to Toronto, they're not going to get a first-round pick, I don't think, from Toronto. I think they'll get a prospect or of some sort there. Toronto makes the most sense just because they kind of need that toughness. They kind of need a Ben Scheroth on that team.
I know, but they already went for Lyubushkin over there. Now apparently they're interested in somebody else. Scheroth's like the third player on their list that they're trying to target, and they've already named the players out of their prospect pool that they don't want to trade for rentals, and that's essentially anybody that you'd probably go after. So it's like, here, I'll give you a 4th-round pick is what they want to do. They're not going to get that.
I'm just saying that's the team that would make the most sense. I mean, if they go for a guy, they trade him to Florida. There's some prospects there that are interesting. I think it just depends on who their trade partner is going to be. St. Louis also is a team that would desperately, I think, not desperately, but I think that he would fit in quite well.
He'd be a good fit in St. Louis. I think he'd be a good fit in
St. Louis. Has a nice slew of prospects there as well. So, I mean, it just depends. I think more so if I'm Ken Hughes, I'm looking for a prospect over a pick. But I mean, I'll take what I get at one point and see what the best offer out there is.
So I know what Matt's touched on this, or he and I have spoken offline about this, and it was I mean, he wants the package he wants to get for Scheroth, but he just doesn't want to see him go to the Leafs.
Well,
for whatever reason, he doesn't want to. Well, we know the reasons. You hate the Leafs.
Well, I have strong feelings towards the Leafs. Let's not say hate. I don't hate a particular hockey organization, but I mean, no. Listen,
it's
bottom
Ben
line
Scheroth,
for Ben Scheroth.
Ben Scheroth is not going to solve the Toronto Maple Leafs. No, you know what I mean? He's going to be an addition. He's going to be an upgrade over somebody.
But it doesn't, listen, they're not winning the cup. I just don't even want them getting out of the first round. But anyways, it's not about me and the Leafs. What it comes down to with Ben Scheroth is it's one or the other. And that's the beauty of it, right? You're not going to find a place where they're going to trade Ben Scheroth and you're going to be like, what is this? What is this returns? How could this be? No, there is enough out there. There's enough smoke. The fire is there. He's going to net you a first plus, or he's going to come back and get you a top end prospect and a late draft pick. It's one or the other. Whichever team they're negotiating with, if they're with a team that they think, these guys are going to be knocked out early and this is going to be a middle first round pick, maybe that's what they go for and they roll the dice, depending on, of course, if they're prepared to trade prospects or not. I think, like you said, Vito, they got already 2 first rounds. A bunch of other players are on their way out, potentially. You hear a ton, especially with his stock going through the roof. Arturi Lehkonen, which I can't wait for him to get a first-round pick. I'm going to laugh so hard at Dave, shoot him a million messages.
You said a first-round pick and a prospect.
He might, at the rate that he's playing, at what he's doing, my God, who knows?
My goodness.
Who knows what? The sky's the limit for Arturi Lehkonen. I hope he
if the trade happens from now until Saturday, and Lehkonen does get traded for a first and the prospect, I think we're gonna both owe you a drink.
100%. But we'll talk Lecky in a second. To finish on Ben Scheroth, honestly, I personally would be completely dumbfounded if we wake up and hear the trade occurred and we're like, wow, that's it. Like I see it as a no miss trade. You're either going to get a first plus, or you're going to get a really good prospect plus.
All right, let's
move on
for Ben Scheroth. Guys, the next tweet I'm going to show is probably my favorite one. It's the one that got the biggest reaction out of me, and not in a holy shit, I can't wait till it happens. More in like, I just don't see like, what the fuck's the matter with you? But apparently this person, as every other Twitter account claims, is that they got sources, and their sources have recently said to them is the following.
Please. Yeah,
it's in French, so guys, bear with me. I'll translate it, but essentially he's saying that he has heard from 2 sources that Cheveldayoff and Hughes have had some preliminary discussions about Dubois, and that it would be a Dubois-Dvorak type of deal, not one for one, but it's some kind of package. He followed it up a day later by saying that he's still hearing those same reports and that where there's smoke, there is fire. So, guys, I repeat, it's the names mentioned were Dubois and Dvorak. You
I
hear
mean,
that,
like,
you say what?
well,
Matt.
what do I say? I mean, I listen. I don't see it. I don't know this person. I don't know their sources. I don't see it.
I'll bring it up
I
again.
can't-
It came from Maxime Guérin.
Yeah, I don't
which-
know who this is, to be fair, and I mean I don't know what their sources are, and it could be just a fun account or whatever. But to talk about that in particular,
I don't want you being politically correct, man.
it's not about politically. I'm literally saying how I feel about it. I don't know the guy to say whether I know this is a troll account or not, but that makes no sense to me.
Maybe this will help you out a little bit because I have another tweet that's part of the whole Winnipeg thing, and maybe it'll help the division a little bit, and it's about Scheifele. Frank Saravalli had said on his daily faceoff rundown that there are a lot of rumblings that this could be Mark Scheifele's last season in Winnipeg.
So that's what I was going to say, because my understanding is they're going to have a problem paying for Scheifele and paying for Dubois. And that's my understanding of what's happening in Winnipeg. So it looks like one of them is going to maybe go or something. So I can see the appeal, or I could see how trade rumors are starting with, they want to keep Scheifele, maybe get Dubois out of there. Dubois being from here.
Supposedly it's Scheifele that might want out.
Well, either way, okay, I don't need to spend a lot of time on this one. No, I think that's total bullshit. I don't see any trade involving Dvorak going to get you back Dubois. None whatsoever. No package I can see making that happen. Sources or not, I don't see it.
Dave, I need to know, man.
Well,
I need to know your thoughts on this.
Because I've never heard of this Maxime Guérin, right? Which is curious to me because I know a lot of people in the industry, right? So I'm kind of like scrolling through his tweets here, and basically he's linked. I've scrolled through 6, and he's linked pretty much everybody to the Montreal Canadiens. Johnny Gaudreau is there.
He might very well be Quebec's Eklund, but for now, I said some of the tweets that I was going to show you are from reputable sources, and some of them are from the Maxime Guérins of the world. And Maxime, if you end up watching this episode and this actually does happen, I will be the first one to come out on a live stream to admit it.
Also,
I'll tip my hat.
I don't know. Again, as I said, I don't know him, so I don't want to bash him or anything. I'm just scrolling through his tweets. Maybe he's right, then we're just stupid, But anyways,
how does that make sense?
Maybe not live, but I'll record things right.
For Patrick Laine. So basically, you're saying that you could get Christian Dvorak for Patrick Laine.
It was a package deal.
Okay, but I come on, man. Like you could package anybody then. I'm hearing Scheifele in a package to Toronto. Anybody can offer a package for anything.
I don't
a package deal to me is just like you name a player you want, and it's like, he's rumored to be part of a package involving this, because you don't even know what would get him. Christian Dvorak, why would Winnipeg ever do that in the first place? I just don't see it. I mean, would the Canadiens have interest in Dubois? Sure, I could believe that. I think that they had an extreme interest when he was in Columbus, and I think that it's possible. But I mean, Christian Dvorak's not going to do it, not going to cut it. And one thing to keep in mind here, Cheryl Dayoff is not a very good general manager. So, I mean, maybe in my estimation, perhaps maybe you.
Well, you know what? Let's play with this just for a second, just for fun, because let's construct a trade package that would make this happen. Let's say Winnipeg truly can't keep Scheifele and Dubois, and let's say they're like, okay, it's Dubois that we're going to try to unload because whatever, that we might be able to replace him easier. Scheifele's been here longer. He's our franchise guy. Whatever. What would it take? Obviously, it's a plus from Montreal. Clearly, it's Dvorak and what to get you Dubois? A first?
A first. I think that
and a prospect.
A first, and you might be looking at
like maybe
a Caulfield, a Gooley, something. They'll ask for that. They'll ask for that. They will ask for that because that's where they put. That's where they probably put Pierre-Luc Dubois right now.
No.
They'll ask for that.
No. Are you out of your mind?
Where they would probably end up settling down on, it'd be a Dvorak. Well, no, the first round pick. If it's not, they might ask for this coming first round or next year's. And Montreal's just not going to be giving away first round picks.
No, if I had to do it, if this is the thing, it would be the Calgary first. It would be Dvorak, and it would be one of our like proper prospects,
Harris?
not a who.
Jordan Harris?
Wow, he's not signed, man.
Let's say they sign him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
fine,
it's because
fine.
there's
Yes.
traction there. Apparently,
Yes.
He's
Sure.
likely to sign.
I mean, I can't understand why they would go him, but fine. Yes, Norlinder. Yes.
I just don't think that gets it done.
Well, probably not. But if we're talking trying to make this real,
it depends on how desperate the Jets would be to move him. But again, we're off.
Yeah,
he's got no contract. He's got no contract beyond this season.
Yeah.
The next season, or it ends this season?
It ends this season.
He's UFA at the end of this season?
RFA? RFA?
He's RFA. Okay.
He's RFA.
All right.
What
else you got?
What else do I got?
This treasure trove of tweets. What else you got?
All right, guys.
You saving that for last? What do you got?
No. And you could, if there's certain players that get brought up, you could easily say that I would love this player to be for the Montreal Canadiens. It's fine. You can bring that up. But the next one is actually another Habs player that Mike Hoffman. Maxime Guérin comes out again with Rajouter Pittsburgh aux équipes intéressées à Mike Hoffman. To note that other people have stated that the Washington Capitals were also interested in Mike Hoffman.
How did you stumble upon Maxime Guérin's Twitter? I
don't know. There's people who follow our Get Pucked podcast Twitter account, and they seem to follow him. And when they like it, it pops up on our feed. But by the way, I'll translate that in English. He's stating that Pittsburgh is among the teams that are interested in Mike Hoffman as well. So, Mike Hoffman to the Pittsburgh Penguins. But I will say, it's a pretty good fit. It would be a pretty good fit. I could see him going to the Pittsburgh Penguins.
I mean, you know what? When Mike Hoffman signed here, I was kind of somewhat enthused about it. I thought he'd bring some sort of dynamic to the power play that we were missing. We all know about his maybe not so great defensive game. But he signed 3 years. I think Mike Hoffman is a replaceable player. I don't see him being core in anybody's mind moving forward in a rebuild. If you could get him and his whatever he is, $3.5 million off the books.
He's above $4.
$4 million off the books. Send him to Pittsburgh. You get something back for it. Yeah,
I will say this: there was a trade scenario, or Dave had ran an episode a while back, and he asked us what would we want for someone like Mike Hoffman, and just come up with a trade. And you came up with something that I actually found was reasonable, and I liked it. It was 2 second-round picks.
Sure, I'd take 2 second-round picks. I said that? Damn, I'm smart. Yes, I'd take 2 second-round picks. Yeah, absolutely.
Dave, Mike Hoffman to the Pittsburgh Penguins or the Washington Capitals. I could see him on both teams, to be honest.
Sure, both teams. Yeah.
You have Gensel with Crosby, right? And then after that, your left wing is pretty meh. If you're looking at Pittsburgh, so I could see it happening for.
I mean, heck, there was a rumor that came up that apparently Pittsburgh entertained or had discussions about Kessel going back.
Damn straight, Phil Kessel's the best. Okay, Phil Kessel deserves another cup run. He should have won that Conn Smythe that year. Don't get me started on Phil Kessel, okay?
Nobody could pack down those hot dogs like him, man.
You always got to go back to the poor hot dogs, huh?
All right, we're gonna move on from Mike Hoffman, and this one was actually surprising. So it was controversial because this tweet came out about this specific player, and then other people came out contradicting what was the rumor. So I'll bring it up. It's Philip Forsberg. So Andy Strickland comes out saying, hearing the Preds are actively shopping superstar Philip Forsberg. Then Friedman notes on his podcast or on his thoughts, his blog, whatever you want to call it, his article, thinks the Preds are trying to sign him. Acknowledges Poyle is not crazy about going to the trade deadline with Forsberg unsigned. They know AAV has to be above Duchesne and Johansson, has to be higher than $8 million, but can't be higher than Yossi's contract, which is 9.089, something like that, or just a bit above 9. So I'm going to say this for myself is that I would actually like Philip Forsberg with the Montreal Canadiens. I think he's an upgrade on the left side, and he'd be probably the best left winger we've had in a very long time.
I mean, sure, right? Like,
No.
like,
Right?
yeah.
I would take Philip Forsberg. So, but the thing is would you? He's a UFA at the end of the season. Would you trade for him now?
No.
No.
Sign and
Perfect.
trade, maybe.
Yeah, sign and trade. That's
Sure.
what I
There's
was
no
saying.
way, because you're looking at a team that might be going through a rebuild. You're going to give up assets to get Philip Forsberg to what?
Well,
play for the bottom place team until the end of the year, and then perhaps he walks. Like, why would he ever be interested?
No.
well, rumor has it that Nashville is very interested in Jonathan Drouin. Maybe something can be done there.
I'll tell you
Okay,
what
but-
should be done with Nashville. You want to know what should be done with fucking Nashville? Let me tell you what should be done with Nashville.
There we go. Bring on the
There's
Shea
a
Weber.
guy. There's a Shea Weber character that we might know about, right? This is where you call them up and say, listen, this isn't a league of buddy buddies, all right? Shea Weber likely is never playing hockey again, as much as it pains me to say. And there is a massive financial thing on play here if he decides to stay on long-term disability or if he retires, right? And so here comes the interesting part. You call up Poyle and you say, hey, man, we got to talk. You got a guy, he's UFA, he wants out, da-da-da-da-da, you need to sign him, you're not going to sign him, whatever. But Shea Weber's here, and if he does retire, you guys are absolutely boned. Maybe there's something that they can play there. And I'm definitely not smart enough to know how and what they would do to make this work, but you definitely should dangle that shit in front of his face. Yes, would Philip Forsberg coming to the Montreal Canadiens be great signing long-term? Absolutely. Absolutely. But like Dave said, you got to be criminally insane to go and trade for him unsigned and then hope to get it done in the offseason. Like, that can't happen. It's a sign and trade, and you work it out, or you see what happens, and if he goes UFA at the end of the season, you make your pitch to him and you say, this is what we're looking to do here, come on over. And then you save the Shea Weber card for another time.
Dave?
Philip Forsberg would be amazing on the Montreal Canadiens. I honestly, I want to manifest it to happen because it's just such a great fit, I think. I think he'd look perfect on that Habs roster.
I think so too.
But I just don't think. I mean, I don't know. I don't think the timing aligns. I don't think it makes any sense. And I mean, that's called cap circumvention. I'm pretty sure, Matt. I'm pretty sure that's all sorts of.
Everyone's doing it, Dave. Everyone's playing the game. Vegas is doing it. Tampa basically lives by it. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's okay when it involves your team, but when you drag in another team and kind of blackmail them by saying, "Hey, give up your star."
You know what? They signed that contract. I don't know if it's blackmail. They put themselves in this spot. Shea Weber got hurt.
Well, to be fair, they didn't sign the contract. Philly signed the contract.
They did put themselves in the spot because they tried to move him, and you know it's a health thing, man. Like you can't
predict it, but it is what it is. And business is business.
Yeah,
that's all I'm gonna say
about it. I understand that, but corporate blackmail, I don't know, man. I like the way you're thinking. I like the way you're thinking. I just, I don't know if that gets done. I don't think if that gets done in the NHL. But
Guys,
I like the way you're going. Look, Philip Forsberg would be a dream. Would be a dream on the Canadiens. So we'll see what happens with him. Imagine Washington would probably want to right or wrong there.
I don't think Washington could fit him.
I don't think they'll fit him, but I'm just saying, I'm sure.
Not unless somebody like Kuznetsov goes the other way.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was rumored nonstop to be moved, right?
Yeah, but it seems like they're liking him again. But who knows what's gonna happen there?
Kidding.
I've got two more tweets, guys. Let's get through this one. Chikrin. Chris Johnston writes, or at least he stated on TSN, it's a little bit hard to get a handle on who's in and who's out. Certainly the Los Angeles Kings are a team that have a huge interest in potentially getting Jacob Chikrin. They've been in from the start. Their interest remains high today. Later on, Johnston adds the Bruins and Panthers have kept track as well, although the Panthers find the price a little high. Wouldn't that be fucking crazy if somehow the Florida Panthers landed Jacob Chikrin on that roster, even for a playoff push?
They're not. In fact, I'll make a statement right now. I predict he doesn't get moved at all. Personally,
the only way he gets moved at this point is if Arizona's demands come down a little bit, because everyone's saying it's super high.
I don't think they will.
I don't understand why they would trade him. Like
I
there's
also
so many players you could deal before you eventually what do you go back to your fans with? Like, oh, this is a guy we're gonna build around. Oh no, we're gonna deal him for some big. We're just gonna constantly deal in
Dave,
the
what
future.
fans?
Okay, it's just gonna be the future. It's call them the Arizona Futures, and they just constantly you'll bring up a good prospect and we'll deal him for the future again.
What fans? Do you know what the plan is? They're gonna get rid of all the contracts they have. And they're going to go take on these expiring 1-year contracts left, or the Shea Weber type contracts just to hit the floor. And you're going to have a bunch of kids all the time that are
Gary Bettman's favorite NHL team, by the way.
Guys,
control yourselves.
There is a plan there, okay? There is. They got rid of everybody because they wanted to get that first overall pick this year and perhaps next year, okay? They wanted to be players. But you still need some players to build around. And if they trade Chikrin, who do they have? They have nobody left. You can't.
They got Keller, and they got Keller, and they got
exactly. They got
hold on, it'll come to me. Barrett Hayden.
Keller. Yeah, they got
okay, but guys, Chikrin is someone you build around, man.
No, 100%.
A franchise.
100%. Hey, man, when I heard
dealing these guys away, you can't.
Yeah, when I heard that they were looking to shop him around, I thought it was actually a joke, and then it turned out that people were reporting it, and I honestly just chuckled and moved on because it's Arizona, and everything they do is stupid to me.
Out of the teams that were mentioned in that tweet and what Chris Johnson said, I really do see a fit more with LA and Boston versus Florida.
I'm with Matt. I don't see him getting moved, man.
He's not.
I just want to give up if they just deal him. I don't understand what the point is. I don't get it. It's just like it's like saying like, okay, we finished last place, guys. We have Shane Wright, and in 3 years we're gonna deal Shane Wright for a whole bunch of prospects. And it makes no sense. You can't just push the ball down the court for the rest of your lives. It doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense.
They are preparing their roster for the future Kansas City team. That is my theory.
It's going to be the same. I mean, unless if the owner changes.
Yeah, but Dave, what'd you say, Dave?
I think Houston would get a team before Kansas City. Anyways.
Them too.
What's your last one? What's the last one you got?
Last one has to do with Brock Besser. I didn't say I was going random, man.
Brock Lesnar.
Brock Besser. Brock Lesnar. Brock Besser. Frank Saravalli, in his latest trade board on Daily Faceoff, has tied the Devils to Brock Besser of the Canucks, potentially using Pavel Zacha as part of a package to get him. Mentions the Devils had talks in the past about Besser. Guys, I just don't get why Jim Rutherford, who's just come in and right away he wants to trade away Brock Besser. Apparently he says, or it's been rumored that he's trying to, if he has to move somebody, he'd rather move Brock Besser than JT Miller. He'd rather keep JT Miller, but he knows that one of the two would have to move. I don't know why either of them have to move, really, unless they come out straight up and say, I want to get out of here. But
I mean, I'm not 100%.
That's another team that keeps trading away certain pieces and players that like why.
You know, it's another thing where if all of a sudden I read tomorrow that Besser was traded and he goes to New Jersey for some package deal, I'd be like, okay. I mean, it doesn't move the dial for me a lot. I think Brock Besser's a really good player, but I don't think he's like in the top caliber of players that if all of a sudden a team moved and you'd be like, wow, why? You know, like that's wild. Like, you know what I mean? And I can see the toss up. I like if they had to keep him or JT Miller the way JT Miller's been playing.
JT Miller's more serviceable for them than Brock Besser, but it's still.
But I can see him being in a bit of a quandary there about which one to move. But doesn't really do much.
And would you like Brock Besser with the Montreal Canadiens?
Look, Rutherford came in and he made it clear, right? He wants cap space, right? That's what he wants the most. And Besser's right. He's an RFA and he has this huge qualifying offer coming in. I think that he's due over the summer. So I get why they would try to move him, want to move him. New Jersey, another very random team. Like, what? I don't understand, again, the strategies of these teams and what they're doing. I guess a fit is there, but I'd be with Matt. You know, very meh move. Like, okay, New Jersey got Brock Besser. And, all right. Like, congratulations. To me, it's just... I don't know. He is playing better under Rutherford, but under Boudreau, since he came in. But the thing is, for me, if I'm the Canucks, why not move him to a player in the playoffs that are going to want to actually pay, maybe overpay a little bit for Brock Besser, as opposed to trading him to a team like New Jersey. Like, what package?
Unless they really, really like somebody like Pavel Zacha.
All right, I guess.
But what are these guys? I mean, it doesn't, like Dave's saying, like, it doesn't make any sense. I like Brock Besser. There was a little while ago, there was rumors all over the place, him coming to the Habs maybe, and I was like, okay, I'd be pretty jacked for that. That's cool. But like at the same time, you know, you're talking about it now, and again, it's a market I'm not really overly crazy about anyways. You know, both of them, Jersey, Vancouver, okay, whatever. But like Dave's saying, you know, these rumors that are out there, it's just so bizarre. Oh, you're going to trade Brock Besser to the fifth worst team.
This episode is to bring up these
you
tweets and have these
really
kind of reactions.
good tweets from really crazy shit because it makes no sense to me personally.
And out of all the tweets we came up with, and out of all the discussions we had, I'm still in my mind trying to figure out, Dave, is that a Motorola Razr?
It is.
It was.
What the hell, man?
It's my stress reliever. I like to play with it as I speak.
There you go.
You know? I like to flip it. It was my favorite phone. I remember.
Great phone.
I was working at Canadian Tire back in the day, and to bring you back, and a client came in to have a key cut, and he had a Motorola Razr, and I remember looking at it and saying, like, man, when I get a Motorola Razr, I'm gonna know I made it in life.
That's it.
And then
that's where you set the bar for success.
Which one is that one?
Is that Beauty, man.
Okay? Wait a minute.
Beauty. It was like the first like advanced technological one, which like no buttons. You know?
That makes two of us.
Oh,
yes.
Look at
there
this.
You go.
I gotta go find my Crazer somewhere.
Oh, that was a good one too. I had that one. I had a blue.
It's in a box somewhere.
All right, guys. Okay, we're gonna end it here. That was fun. Blast from the past, right there. Dave, really happy to have you back.
Yeah, man.
We missed you, man.
Fun. I
missed you. But we're gonna end it here. Thank you everybody for listening in, watching us. This was episode 21. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. You can watch us on YouTube and on our Facebook page. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all of that fun stuff. We're there. And thanks for tuning in, and thanks for your support and your time. This was Get Pucked.
Thank you. Get Pucked.